How's it going tonight, YouTube? It is Mr. Rolldaddy here, and season is winding down, but still not yet over, so you know what that means. I've got to do another Iowa Hawkeyes football analyst video. This week, the Hawkeyes travel to West Lafeyette, Indiana to take on the Big Ten West rival Purdue Boilermakers. There's a lot of thought that I put into this week. I will explain why very soon, but let's get going. But before that, of course, as I always want to mention beforehand, all views expressed in my videos are completely of my own. I don't represent those of the University of Iowa, the Big Ten Conference, any media outlet, any players, coaches, university officials, or anything or anybody else who is otherwise affiliated. I'm just an Iowa alumni that really still loves my school, and I'm just doing a fun side project, and I am a self-employed, just for fun sports analyst on the side. So let's get going. All right, week 10. Wow. It's just 9 weeks ago I was doing this project for the first time. So, Iowa versus Purdue. My main and big message for the week, the basic roll key. I mean, still, Iowa got to Indianapolis for the Big Ten championship game in the end. But, look, I'm still haunted by last year's game. Purdue's offense they've really scared me. They have one of the best offenses in the entire country. They strategize, and they coach very well on offense. So, honestly, I really am scared of Purdue's offense. But Iowa's got to get their job done. Now, we're going to start out with offense like always. My first offensive roll key of the week. Running game is very crucial this weekend. I mean, I'm going to say sometimes you just need to get a running game up and running. And though you can say there's many reasons why you would believe a running game is so key for a football game, but there's one kind of obvious reason why I believe Iowa really needs to get the running game going this weekend. Let's get to the next slide. Chewing the clock is going to be the most important thing on offense for Iowa this week. So when I've been watching Purdue play Iowa over the past couple of years, I mean, they're really good at a quick strike offense. They know how to strike quick. They know how to get on the board quick. They're just so electrifying on offense. So a ground and pound strategy this weekend is going to go quite a long way. The offense really just needs to limit the time Purdue's offense is on the field. Control the time of possession, chew the clock, control the ball. I'm going to say multiple long drives of 7 to 10 minutes. If Iowa can do that, I mean, even if not all of them end in points, it's a pretty good thing this weekend because Iowa's offense needs to give Purdue's offense less time to be on the field. And Iowa really does have to start this early and often. Now, my third offensive roll key. Running game, of course. Well, in addition to my previous two thoughts, multiple running plays need to be used. I mean, obviously, Iowa does a lot of inside runs from the I formation. I mean, yes, this week I'll advocate to use those whenever they can, but still, run the ball wide, run it outside. Use wide receivers, sweeps, and reversals. Arlen, Bruce, and Brody Becht, I really do like their potential to pick up some yards through the running game, through those plays, and short yardage. Get them off guard by giving it to fullback Monty Potty Bomb when it's like 3rd and inches, 3rd and 1. I think that's really going to be a good call this weekend. And look, Iowa has not really had a mobile quarterback in quite a while, but try running with the quarterback this weekend. Because you can make it look like he's going to throw, but in reality, the quarterback's just going to keep the ball, run. If he does that, it's going to take some time off of the clock. So it's one thing to say the running game needs to get going, and it's another thing to say that the Iowa offense has to chew the clock, but it's a whole other thing to strategize on how you are going to get those two things together. And now, you can't be one-dimensional in offense. Play-action passes are going to go a long way this weekend. So first, get those running games established. Open up the passing game right after. I mean, with how much I'm emphasizing Iowa needs to run the ball this weekend and chew clock, Iowa has got to make them think that they are reverting to the running game. But, boom with a great play action. Sell the running game. Just totally make it look like you're handing the ball off to one of the running backs. Then get the open space. Throw quick. But don't throw it deep when it's not necessary to do so, because deep passes, I mean, obviously if they go for huge gains, those are always good things to get huge gains on offense. But my main thoughts for Iowa's offense this week, they need to take as much time off of the clock as they possibly can to prevent Purdue's offense from getting more chances to be on the field. Now, another one. Their top defensive players need to be kept guessing. I mean, all five of these guys, they're seniors. They have experience. Just really, they keep them off balance because again, I've emphasized this a lot in quite a bit of videos. Guys who are upperclassmen may have some more experience than the underclassmen do, and especially if they've been with one program for a while. Just keep them off balanced. Really do. Because if you can keep the most experienced guys guessing that are also some of their best players on that side of the ball, there's so much more room for the multiple play calls, which I am suggesting Iowa does this week, to be run to a great extent and run well. All right. We're going on to the defensive side. This is one I really had to put a lot of thought into, given how great Purdue's offense is and has been against Iowa. So first off, I mean, yes, I'm scared of the Purdue offense, but those guys on the Iowa defense can't be. Just play the Iowa defense we all know. Tough and tenacious. I mean, no rest, relentlessness, so much into it. But this week, I obviously say this because it's Purdue's offense you're facing. Play really, really smart when you're out there. Now, my second defensive role key. You got to know that you're playing against two former Iowa wideouts. I mean, these guys were just on the team just a year ago, and now they're playing for a Big Ten West rival. Charlie Jones and Tyrone Tracy Jr. I mean, here's my main thoughts about playing guys who were just with your playing against guys that were just with your program just 1 year ago and left for a division rival. Well, you got to know that you know these guys, but they know you too. They may also be seeking some revenge. There may be a good reason why they decided to jettison Iowa and then play for one of their rivals. They're probably thinking they just want to show their former school what they're missing. But Iowa's defense can show what they're missing on what Iowa has on that amazing defense that a lot of schools just don't have. Iowa's defense can be the total opposite of the typical revenge game. I'm going to say, against these two receivers, I mean, yes, they might know Iowa's defensive plays kind of well, especially if they practice against them and especially if they've been pretty close with some defensive players. But you got to plan for the Purdue coaches to really use them in a way where they're going to get meaningful yardage, points, whatnot. Now, third defensive role key. I'm going to say the linebackers need to be in pass coverage. I mean, look, I love pass rushers, but pass coverage is just going to be greater than pass rush for this weekend. And look, I know I've been talking a lot about how good Purdue's offense is, but in those games against Iowa that I've seen over the past couple of years, one thing I've noticed about Purdue is they're so efficient, passing it short, They're so efficient passing it middle, and they're so efficient passing it deep. They can throw it all over the place. And their receivers are, I'm going to say they're the most well-coached wide receivers I have ever seen in college football, especially ever since I have been watching Iowa and became a Hawkeye. They are really great route runners, and they're just coached well with getting separation, route running, catching the ball. Their receivers are just coached so well. And Aiden O'Connell, their quarterback, I mean, he knows how to move the ball and go through his progressions. And they also have a great tight end in Payne Durham as well. He has caught some touchdowns against Iowa in some of the past games, and he's a great catching tight end. He's also an upperclassman, because I know I've been watching him for the past couple of Iowa Purdue games. So you've got to watch out for Payne Durham as well. Not just wide receivers. Now, my fourth defensive role key. This week, Iowa's got to have guys ready to tackle anyone, anybody, and at anywhere. Now, the games that Iowa has lost against Purdue in the past couple of years, I'd say especially last year's game and especially the 2018 game, Purdue was just great at being unpredictable. And I was at that Iowa-Purdue game last year. What I was noticing was you're not going to know what you're going to get against this offense. I mean, they may strike quick, which they sometimes do. They may be a team that just chews off the clock, or they might just do something somewhere all in between that. So, my best advice, I mean, you don't know what you're going to get. Purdue will go anywhere and everywhere in offense. Have guys all over the field ready to tackle any man that's got the ball. Just be ready to bring the guys down. Don't let them get any extra yards. Now, my fifth defensive role key. Iowa's got to force the running game, and Iowa's got to force fumbles. I mean, all right, Aiden O'Connell, I mean, he's not necessarily the absolute greatest quarterback right now in college football, but he is a pretty good one. He does throw quite a bit, and he's still putting up some pretty well enough numbers. Now, Purdue, I mean, they averaged 314.3 passing yards per game, but in the Big Ten rushing, they rank only 10th of 14. Found both of those stats from ESPN. And Devin Mockabee, they've got a running back. Name that. Well, anyways, he's just got to be forced to be a one-man show because I'm thinking if Iowa can force Purdue to run the ball, that's really going to limit what they can do on offense. And I'm going to say it all starts out with the alignment to show that it's not going to be a friendly passing attack for Purdue this weekend. Then, now obviously, Purdue, they're going to pass quite a bit because they're such a pass-happy team. They're going to pass quite a lot, but still, when the receivers get the ball, and even in the running game, whoever's running the ball, force the fumbles. I'm going to say it's going to be difficult for Iowa to get interceptions this week because of their quick strike offense, and they throw a lot of quick passes, and again, their receivers are, I'd say, the most well-coached receivers I have seen in college football. And so I'm going to say, for Iowa to get turnovers this weekend, they got to force the fumbles. It has to happen. All right. Now, the X Factor role key. One note I'm going to put here is that this can quite easily become a trap game for either team. Now, yes, Purdue has won 4 of the last 5 meetings between these two schools, and yes, last year's game, I mean, that was just such a trap game for Iowa. They just, I mean, for what? But anyways, well, even the past games beyond last year. Remember the 2020 game, the first game of that season in October. Well, Iowa blew a late fourth quarter lead, and David Bell had 3 touchdown receptions in that game. The 2019 game, well, that's the one Iowa ended up winning. And, well, that game, well, Purdue just couldn't capitalize on opportunities. And, I mean, Iowa didn't get a lot of touchdowns when they were in the red zone, but they did so well in the kicking game that got them a lot of points. 2018 game, that one was just a thriller. Back and forth battle. I mean, that was just a really high-scoring game. It was like 38-36. Both teams got a lot of yards, and Purdue especially Purdue, they got a lot of passing yards. But still, Iowa just made too many early mistakes in that 2018 game. And though they ultimately came back, Purdue still won on a last-second field goal. And a lot of those matchups, especially the 2020 and 2021 games, you could even argue the 2019 game with the stat line. I mean, David Bell just had quite a great performance, and a lot of those games have come down to one really great individual performance. Or, like last year's game and the 2018 game, one team just making too many early mistakes or just not capitalizing, like a 2019 game for Purdue. This could very well be a trap game for either team. Now, we've reached that part of the video again. Rolldaddy's big roll of the week. Now, this is a surprise tactic, a trick play, or an interesting strategy that I would utilize this week if I was an Iowa coach that could catch the opponent off guard and give an advantage to the Hawkeyes. I also challenge myself quite a bit to have a new one every single week. So I do have to think pretty deep about ideas at this point, given I've thought of a lot of typical ones. But anyways, here we go. Run over 90% of the defensive plays in a 3-3-5. Now, I mean, this isn't Iowa's traditional defensive alignment, but this provides Purdue's offense to face something they haven't seen on film. The nickelbacks, I mean, yes, they're there for the extra pass coverage. That's why it's called the 5th defensive back. But it also shows 3 rushers to get to the quarterback, and you got 8 guys back in coverage to tackle at a moment's notice. And whenever Purdue does decide to run, we have fast guys at linebacker and defensive back to do so. And I'm going to say the linebackers and defensive backs are going to be the biggest contributors that stop Purdue's offense and get the turnovers this weekend. I know this is not what Iowa runs on defense usually, but 3-3-5 this weekend has a lot of advantages to it. I really do appreciate y'all for watching this. Again, I do put a lot of thought into these videos, sometimes more than you want, but if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you're enjoying my videos. Have a great night.